It is tea.
So good. The best.
Yeah. All right. I think we're live.
Hello, Explearners.
Hello, hello. Let's wait for the audio to come here. I think.
Oh, okay. There's always a little
for
bit
people
of
who
a
are
delay.
actually watching live, I think there's a delay. Yep. Now we're good.
Hooray. Welcome to another live stream with MD and Gregory, or Greg.
Either way is fine.
Either way.
Or Greg's.
Greg's, yeah.
Yeah.
Your brother and I call you that.
Yeah.
I love the topic today. I always love the topic.
Tell me the topic.
It's about mindset.
Wait. Before we go to that is a cool topic. Before we go to it, I thought this was a cool one today. Can you just talk about the tea briefly?
So we have an infusion here. It's an herbal infusion. We try to drink herbal as much as we can, as often as we can. And this is a hibiscus infusion. It's not pure hibiscus.
So what does infusion mean?
I love that. So an infusion it's basically different types of teas that are herbal mixed together. So it's you can't technically, like in the tea world, you cannot call this tea.
Was it infusion out of the bag?
Yeah.
It was. Okay.
Yeah. So they basically did it already.
I thought maybe this contraption you're using was the infuser.
So this is just, your average French press. You typically put coffee grounds in here.
I'm not a coffee guy, so that's why I don't really know what this thing does.
Yeah. So you can also use it a lot for infusions.
Got it.
So remember that lemongrass jasmine tea that I made for you?
You use this thing too.
I didn't use this one because we were at a hotel, but
concept's the same.
The concept is the same.
Got it.
And that way you can see sort of what you have going in this lovely contraption.
Got it. Yes.
And I love the color
beautiful
too.
Color and beautiful flavor.
Yeah. So it's hibiscus and there's some other stuff in there too. There's like berries. I don't know. I have to look at the packaging. Some like dried papaya.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty decent.
The berries definitely coming through. All right. I sidetracked you. Mindset. That's today.
Mindset.
Not hibiscus tea.
Mindset. Mindset. It's just one of these things where I think we hear it a lot in today's society. We hear it, being thrown left and right.
Yeah.
And it really is so important.
I heard it a lot in sports, actually. I always heard it back in high school and even earlier. Mindset came up a lot in sports.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So tell me a little bit about that. So you started hearing about mindset way back.
Yeah, but more
Not
so.
that back.
Way back. Yeah, they were just, releasing something called a computer at that time.
Cutting edge technology.
Cutting edge technology. So in any event, it was just, I think, a lot to do with particularly sports like tennis, right?
Yes.
Which are very individual sports.
Your head has to be in the game.
What's your mindset? If you're in a good mindset, then you're sort of ready to
tackle anything.
Yeah, you're ready for whatever the opponent has to bring to you.
Yeah.
And when you're not in a good mindset, everything goes awry. And with an individual sport like tennis, if you're not on, it's obvious you're not on because there's no one else to sort of hold you up. Whereas with soccer, you have teammates. Yeah. So anyways, that's where I sort of first encountered it.
I think for me, for ballet, because I grew up dancing, our ballet teacher would always say it's in the mind. It's in the mind. So if you wanted to lift your leg up a little bit higher or hold that pose a little bit longer or jump a little bit higher or whatever we had to do, she'd always say it's in the mind.
Yeah, I bet ballet is incredibly mindset driven.
Very mindset. And you don't really have the camaraderie. I hate to say it, but you don't people are very competitive. And that was one of the things I just did not really like about it. I loved it. I'm obsessed with ballet, but I remember you're with people, right? But it's not this team mentality, unfortunately. And I think
even if you're not in competing roles.
Yeah, because everyone's vying for the top roles.
I see.
And you want to be, center stage, and you have this affinity for certain roles, they speak to you. So anyway,
so in tennis it might sort of be similar because you're vying for the top spot.
I would think so.
In something like soccer, you tend to have prescribed roles. So a defender is going to be a defender,
which is good, right?
And he's not, sort of hoping to someday secure the offensive position or something like that. Yeah, that's interesting.
So anyway, I think mindset definitely can relate to the arts and also to sports. And it also relates to communication.
Yeah. I was gonna say academics as well.
Academics for sure.
Totally. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But what's cool about communications, I think part of the reason we even started a channel on communications.
Yeah, and social skills. Yeah.
Is that it kind of it permeates all these different aspects of life, right? So there's communication in sports.
Yes.
There's communication
in the workplace.
In the workplace, hopefully. Otherwise, it's a pretty dysfunctional workplace.
In academics.
In academics, right? There's communication
everywhere.
Sort of everywhere.
It permeates all facets.
So that makes sense to me. Then that mindset would be sort of a meaningful part of communication.
Definitely. So I think we hear a lot about more recently, actually, with Carol Dweck's whole TED Talk and then her book that came out about mindset in the last few years, about the growth mindset.
Right.
Right. And I think
totally.
I don't know if anyone noticed it, but on the thumbnail for this video, there's a brain. I put a little PNG of a brain with like weightlifting.
Yeah. That's really funny. From a distance to me, it kind
of
looks like a turkey, but that's maybe because we're getting close to Thanksgiving.
You're just excited for
I'm just excited for turkey.
Yeah. But anyway, so I thought that was like a nice way to encapsulate like the idea behind the growth mindset. So I want to talk about positive mindset, negative mindset, growth mindset, fixed mindset, abundance mindset, and scarcity mindset.
That's a lot of mindsets.
Yeah, I know. There's so many. And I feel like you can even add more to that list.
All right.
So let's jump
Somehow I don't think we'll get into all of those. But
which one would you like to start with?
Well, my favorite.
Growth mindset.
Yeah. But we don't have to start there.
Yeah. Well, I think let's start with the positive mindset. Positive, so the duality, right?
And I'd actually be interested to hear what's the difference between those two.
Right. So the dichotomy of the positive mindset and the negative mindset.
Right.
Obviously, like the positive mindset comes in with setting a positive affirmation for the day, waking up on the right side of the bed, that whole expression that we have.
Yes.
Just approaching the day with positivity and optimism. Right. And I think that also ties into stoicism.
You did a video on that, didn't you? Sort of adopting a positive mindset.
Definitely, yeah. It came out a couple months ago in the summer, so definitely check it out. It's all about figuring out how you can start adopting a positive mindset. So switching your mind and your thoughts. And this is not something that you just do once and then you're golden, you're good for life. Doesn't work that way. It's something that you have to constantly, I think, even remind yourself of in the beginning, and you condition yourself to just waking up and thinking about being positive, because you actually have to, tell yourself, I'm going to make today a positive one. You actually have to be proactively saying that.
Right. And I think
in your head or aloud, right?
Sure. And I think it's helpful to, when you think about a concept, it's nice to think about the sort of what it is and then its opposite, right?
Yeah.
So you have the positive mindset and the negative mindset.
Yeah.
And so to take the waking up example, right? You can wake up and be really excited and positive about the day and, ready to tackle what's coming. Or you can wake up and have a negative mindset, which is where you're not excited about the day, where you it's hard to get yourself out of bed, and you're sort of intimidated about what's in store for you, whether that's too much stuff or you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And what also surprised me when I was doing research for this, for the video lesson, was that if you're neutral, you're going to easily be swayed into the negative mindset.
Interesting.
Because you sort of like don't set any tone.
Right.
So you let any negative thing, like even small, right, bother you.
Yeah.
So you actually have to set the tone. As
biologically, that actually makes sense to me as well, because our brains, to be positive, actually takes some proactivity, right? That's some of our evolved brain working there.
Software
upgrade.
Software upgrade,
exactly. Because the reality is, by default, we're actually have, our sort of biological need is to protect ourselves. We've talked about this before.
Right.
And so in order to protect yourself, what you're doing is identifying threats.
Yes.
So you're applying sort of this default layer of skepticism to sort of identify the issues. So by definition, in today's world, sort of excessive skepticism, which is probably excessive in the context of getting out of bed. Chances are when you get out of bed, you're not going to get pounced by a lion, right? But your brain is still sort of functioning that way and looking for what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And so this is a very long-winded way of saying I can understand why if you adopt a neutral mindset, you're more likely to fall to the negative.
Yeah.
That's just the way our brains are wired.
Yeah.
Right? We're wired to find the problems, not necessarily to find the bright side of things.
Yeah. So we have to go the extra mile and just really focus on setting a positive intention.
Right, right.
And in yoga, I mean, you love doing yoga.
Yes. Just did some this morning.
Yeah. There's always this, I think, theme of setting an intention. And you decide what that is.
Yeah.
So it could be anything from, you know, gratitude to optimism to
don't they even say, because we use a little app. We use the Nike Training Club app. Amazing, amazing fitness app.
This is not an ad. No.
It's not an ad. We should make it an ad. It's not an ad.
I know we should make it.
But anyways, they have a really good yoga program. I feel like the lady, when Tracy Copeland, she announces it. She's always like, think about the intention for this workout.
Yeah, set an intention.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't think about it as that much, but maybe I'll start doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Adopting this positive sort of intention to what? I guess in the context of yoga, to sort of to clear my head.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, to unwind,
to freshen my body. Right, exactly.
I find that you do a really good job though of being like positive. I really genuinely think that in the morning when you wake up, you're very positive. Like,
that's very nice of you to say. I mean,
I don't know. You have this positive outlook.
I think part of it's just sort of being excited about what I have in store for me that day.
Like what you're working on.
Yeah. And a lot of that has to do with the days that I'm not feeling as like ready and rearing to go are the days where I didn't think enough about what I was going to do the next day.
Right.
Or sorry, like in any event,
the night before.
It's right the night before. It's where the night before I didn't really have an intention for what I was going to do the next day. When you wake up, then you kind of lost. And that's why I said that some people feel stressed when they wake up because they have too much stuff to do. I actually find that to not be so stressful because then I'm like, all right, cool. I have a lot of stuff to do. I'll sort of prioritize and figure it out. What I find way more stressful is when I wake up and don't know what to do to that day. Right.
Right. Because there's that lack of direction almost. Like even though you know your to-do list, projects you have lined up.
Yeah.
If you don't, at least for me, like I like seeing it on paper or in my digital project management tool that I use. But it's really nice to have that sort of understanding of the direction. And I think that helps you have a positive mindset because it takes the brain power out of it almost.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't have to think too much about which one to do first. And
it's exactly right. And there's one more thing that does that too.
Cold showers.
Cold showers were awesome. But no, I was thinking of something else, which is routines.
Routines. Yeah. You love systems and routines. That's true.
Routines do this. I just realized while we're talking about this, that's the case, right? So it's not just planning. The planning part is important.
Yeah.
And that is part of a nighttime routine.
Yep.
But I would say just as important or arguably even more important because it doesn't require you to plan is a routine. Because a routine says, basically allows you to wake up and go on complete autopilot.
Yeah,
right?
True.
Like you don't need to think about what it is I need to do because I have a routine. I always do what I do in the morning. Yeah. And that gives you that confidence to sort of get out and just not have to worry about sort of what's next.
It does the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, it gives you a jump start.
Yeah. The other thing, and you love this, you're a huge proponent of this, is minimalism in your wardrobe. So basically having an idea of like what you're going to wear, not only maybe planning out your outfit the night before, but having a uniform, so to speak. Yeah. Like there are a lot of, really successful people out there, entrepreneurs I'm thinking of mostly right now, but they wear the same exact thing every day.
Yeah.
So it just takes the sort of stress about what you're going to find in your closet and what you're going to put on that day out of the equation.
Yeah. And
so that you can focus on what like matters to you more.
100%. And it's not just stress. For me, in fact, it's not even stress. It's just that was one more decision I don't have to make.
Yeah,
right. The fewer decisions I have to make that day, the better off I am.
It is.
So I have like 5 shirts. You'll probably notice I wear about 3 of them on the show on a rotating basis. That is
intentional.
It's totally intentional. I mean, I just rotate. I'm like, did I wear that shirt last time? Cool. I have 2 other shirts I can choose from. right? And it just makes it really easy.
Yeah.
It's one less decision.
Right.
And these are all things that I think feed into making it easier to adopt that positive mindset.
Right. I think that does help. So you might want to try that out if it helps with sort of starting off the day on the right foot, because you're eliminating potential stress factors.
Another area where positive mindset comes up that I think you're very good at is in situations that are frustrating, right? Sometimes, for me in particular, I can get just unreasonably annoyed when I miss a bus, right? When I just miss a bus or just miss a subway, right? These little things that sort of put a tiny hitch in my schedule. And those can just consume my day to a point where certainly for the next hour, I'm just fuming about how this inefficiency kind of crept its way into my world. And you're very good at putting that in perspective and saying, you know, okay, yes, we missed the bus, but no big deal, right? You know, we have a great day ahead of us still, and so forth. I found that you're very good at de-escalating my frustration in those situations.
Oh, good.
Right, and that's another form, I think, of positive mindset where it's during the day, and it's circumstantial. Right, and you can choose to view a scenario in a positive or negative way, I think one of the things you always remind me, for example, when I do miss that bus or something, you're like, great, that's a little more reading time, right?
Right.
It's a little more time for you to listen to a podcast.
Yeah, because we always carry around a book, a podcast.
Yes.
And the ability to have a conversation.
And our spouses.
Which helps.
The combination of the three keeps you busy.
But in light of all that we talk about intrapersonal communication, it could also be a phenomenal opportunity to just be with your thoughts. Just unplug from everything.
Absolutely.
And disconnect from your smartphone.
Yes.
And just allow yourself to be with your thoughts.
That's my favorite.
Right?
That's my favorite answer because
it's your favorite answer.
It is because
Good.
It's the most resilient.
It's resilient.
Right?
And
because
you can always do this.
always have yourself, right? You may not have a book. You may not have your spouse with you. You may not have your podcast.
Yeah.
But you do have yourself, and you can always take that opportunity to go into your head and sort of probe what's going on. I love that. Yeah.
So that could also help, and when you're doing that, because we're talking about mindset here, also try to be aware of the thoughts you have, and if these negative thoughts or these ants, the automatic negative thoughts, are creeping up and permeating your thought system, then attack immediately, or just let go. Just find a way of,
identifying it, right?
Identifying it, labeling it, and then just like
moving on.
So these are some things that you can try. So, okay, we talked about the positive, negative mindset, duality.
Yes.
Now let's move on to growth versus fixed mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to start? Or?
So Carol Dweck actually coined the term. She's a psychologist at Stanford, and she does a lot of research on this area, on mindset. And she talks about the growth mindset. And it's changed so many people's lives. The example that she gives in her TED Talk is about students specifically. So if you think about it, if you tell yourself, I can learn math, I can learn, French, whatever it is that you might be struggling with, you can tell yourself that this is something that I can learn, I can get better at, and I can conquer these challenges. And it's all about the way you look at challenge.
So that was the growth mindset.
That's the growth mindset.
Got it.
Now, the fixed mindset is sort of, it's the opposite, right?
Right.
It's going in there thinking, no, I'm only good at X, Y, Z, therefore I'm not good at A, B, C. And then telling yourself that will, in fact, impede your ability to learn ABC, which you presumably feel that you're not good at.
Right.
So it's this idea that your skills are already fixed.
Fixed. Yeah. The way I sort of understood it was a fixed mindset is when you're born with a certain set of skills, and you can sort of dial them up or down a little bit, but more or less you kind of constrain to what you have.
Yeah.
Whereas a growth, for example, would be, I'm not a good communicator. right? I'm an introvert, so therefore I'm not a good communicator, and so therefore I'm never going to be a good communicator.
Like if you believe that,
if you believe that sort of process, that would be the fixed mindset approach.
Yeah.
Whereas a growth mindset says, regardless of what I was born with, I have opportunities to, substantially improve in the areas that I want to improve.
Exactly.
So from a communicator's perspective, it would be, I was born an introvert. That doesn't mean I'm a bad communicator.
Right.
That means that my style of communication would be different than an extrovert's.
Exactly.
And there are, in fact, many opportunities and resources for me to improve my communication as an introvert.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So I think it's really important when you're sort of faced with a new challenge, or let's say you want to learn something. Maybe you really want to start making YouTube videos, but you need to teach yourself how to use the editing software, whatever that might be.
Sounds familiar.
For you. Don't let that, don't let your lack of editing with this fancy software that you might want to use deter you from making YouTube videos, right? So any roadblock that you're faced with, try to, overcome by having this growth mindset. And of course, it's easier said than done. And it's not a one time and you're done there.
Right.
Situation. It's like you have to constantly be reminding yourself of that.
Yeah. And I just love it because it turns the world from this sort of dull and one-dimensional field realm into this multifaceted, rich 3D space where anything is possible, right? Once you adopt this growth mindset, it's really, the limit is just your imagination, right? Where do you want to take your skills, and basically it comes down to how do you want to allocate your time. Because anything is worth it to the extent that you're passionate about it, and to the extent that it's how you want to sort of develop yourself. And it just comes down to, particularly, what really made, it's one thing back in the day. Look, if you were born as a serf in what is it, the medieval times, right? The Dark Ages,
when they had fiefdoms
and so forth, your options were pretty constrained. I mean, you could get pretty cool and innovative with how you grow your crops and so forth.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you're still working within some pretty significant boundaries.
Yeah.
Nowadays, with the internet, with all these free resources online, the growth mindset has never been more powerful.
Totally.
Right? Because suddenly, all
the
you
world
need to
is
do,
your oyster.
Yeah, you decide there's something I care about, something I want to do, and then boom, you have just more resources than you could ever know what to do with to go and attack that and succeed in it.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, and I think one of the things for entrepreneurs, I'm thinking really, how important the growth mindset is, because there's so much that you have to learn and you have to teach yourself using the resources that are available to you,
right?
That you can avail yourself of. But the idea is that, there's so many things that you will not know how to do. Yeah. And you have to take it upon yourself to fill those gaps. And if you are stuck in a rut with the fixed mindset, then it'll be more challenging to, get to the next level of what you want to do.
Totally. And like you're saying, that there are actual studies that show that this gets this type of mindset can be instilled in you early on.
The growth mindset.
Or the fixed mindset, right? And it can be sort of an environmental influence that will have a direct impact on sort of your experience in school, and then consequently your experience in your professional career. Right. And so, like you're saying, the people who believed they couldn't do well in something actually didn't do well.
Yeah.
And people believed that the other people who believed not necessarily that they could do well in it, but that they could get better at it.
Yeah.
Right. That the limitation was only the amount of practice.
Exactly.
Did really well.
Exactly.
And it's just, I feel like that is so important for any sort of aspect of how you want to succeed, right? Knowing that you can always get better at it is such a more positive way to go about life. And when you first mentioned the growth mindset and the positive mindset, I was like, how is she going to differentiate between those two? But I think you did a really nice job of separating those two. Yet there are connections, right? I think a growth mindset is conducive to a positive mindset. And I think a positive mindset is conducive to a growth mindset.
I mean, the way I think of growth mindset is with anything that you maybe is not an innate talent for you, right? That you're not predisposed to just being so natural at or so good at.
Right.
Like I remember growing up, like hearing, so like in the performance world or ballet, people say, oh, she is a natural, right? They're just born with it. They're good at it. So they don't have to work that hard. But then the people who are not a natural, right, work extra hard, right, are maybe even more impassioned by it and committed to growing and learning and getting better, that they actually surpass the person who was natural at it, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's a perfect example
like I feel like that happens
of what
all the time.
sort of embodies. And related to that, I remember reading that when you have a kid, you actually shouldn't tell them, oh, you're so good at this. Oh, you're so smart. Instead, what you say is, wow, you worked really hard on that.
Right.
And the work shows in your outcome, right? That's a really good outcome, and it shows that you worked hard on it. Which instead that focuses on the process,
right,
as opposed to their innate capabilities. Because if you keep telling a kid they're so smart, oh, you're so good at that, that actually doesn't boost their confidence. What it does is it causes them to stress out about performing at that level. So I mean, I think that really sort of represents what the growth mindset is about.
Yeah, it's like focusing on the journey and not the destination,
exactly,
so to speak.
Or the origin.
Or the origin, yes.
Yeah, in this case, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So much that has to do with mindset. And the way it affects communication is if you're thinking about, it's going to shape your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your reality. And of course, they will make their way into your social interactions. So if you're having an off day, people can tell that, right? They know through your body language, through your tone of voice, through what you say and how you say it, and all the good stuff, right? All the stuff that makes up our communication. So it's really something that we have to be aware of as human beings, that our mindset just not only affects us, but it also affects the people we interact with.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, so we're closing in on our deadline, but I did want to touch on those last two.
The abundance and scarcity.
So
let's talk about those. So basically with the abundance mindset, it's as it sounds. Okay, let's talk about scarcity first to put it in context.
Right.
So people who adopt a scarcity mindset, and this is not just like one person who does this. We all do this apparently, and this can creep up on us in different social settings and situations and life events. The scarcity mindset is that there's not enough to go around. I am not enough. This is not enough. Like the idea that there's just like this much and it's not for you, basically. I mean, to speak in abstract terms, because it is abstract, right? And then the abundance mindset is the antithesis of the scarcity mindset. So with that, you're thinking there's enough to go around. Like, okay, let's take an example with a job. Let's say you really wanted this job and you applied and you tried your best. The interviews went well, but in the last round of the interviews, they said, no, for whatever
reason. Said no.
They said no. And a lot of times they don't tell you why they said no.
They're actually, legally, they shouldn't.
Right. Anyway, so then you might say, okay, well, that was the only job. That was my dream job. I'm never going to find another dream job. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
That would be the scarcity mindset. Whereas with the abundance mindset, it's more of, okay, well, all this prep that I did for this role is going to help me, is going to position me well to apply to similar roles, or even something maybe not that similar, but that I'm still interested in, and that my skill set speaks.
But the point is there's an abundance of other alternatives in there. Because I think also that what you were describing, this was an opportunity to learn. That I almost view as the growth mindset as well. But also the other side of it is just saying that was just one job and there are 500 other jobs. Frankly, limit. You go on to LinkedIn, there are endless jobs. Right. You just pop the filters on and get to it. Yeah. No, I mean, that's another, these are all great lenses through which to view the world. Right. And can so dramatically change your experience of the world.
Definitely.
Right.
And your interactions.
Yeah. And I think in the US in particular, the US can be, I love the US and there's so many good things going for it. But one of the things that does bother me, it irks me about the US is an obsession on consumerism, because consumerism sort of forces you. I'm going to try not to get too much on my soapbox here, but it's forcing you to sort of constantly strive for more money so that you can buy more things. And this is just an never-ending cycle.
Right.
And that, I think,
feeds into the scarcity mindset.
That is the scarcity mindset, right? That you never have enough, and that you can always have more, and you need to get more.
Right.
And you're going to be stressed because you're trying to get more and you don't have enough, right? That would be a scarcity mindset.
Right.
Whereas I prefer to adopt an abundance mindset in that regard, where, look, I can feed myself. I have a roof over my head.
So it ties into gratitude.
I have a wonderful wife, right?
Yeah.
I have so much already. I don't know if I had more, I don't know what I would do with it. I'm not going to necessarily turn it down, but I don't know what I'd do with it, because already I'm so happy with what I have, right? That for me sort of epitomizes the abundance mindset.
Right. And I think that relates to gratitude, right?
Yeah.
Just being grateful. So one other thing, and I think we'll close with this, is when you find yourself in a funk, when you find yourself tackling the fixed mindset, the scarcity mindset, the negative mindset, think of gratitude. Like, think of what you're grateful for at this very moment in your life. And something that I think would be also helpful in that regard is, save yourself the heavy lifting in that moment, because it's hard to do that when you're, in a rut. Have a postcard or a notebook and keep that somewhere that that's just for you, and refer to it when you find yourself in that situation, and have 3 things that you're so absolutely grateful for. And just reading those will really help you. It'll really just help you understand that, okay, whatever this feeling is, that's negative feeling, is temporary and is transient, and it will pass. Right? You don't want to dwell on that, because that's going to just like spiral out of control. And
it effectively is guiding you toward, we talked about 3 different mindsets here.
Yeah.
6, but sort of 3 concepts, right? Yeah. 3 dualities. And I think what you just described, this gratitude, this appreciation, is going to sort of inherently steer you toward the positive spectrum versus the negative spectrum on these dualities.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, if the only thing you do is that,
you're in a good spot.
Life gets so much better, so much easier.
Yeah.
And particularly when it comes to communication, it starts to flow out of you with more fluidity, with more authenticity.
Yeah. And people will notice that, right? You'll start attracting these people who, want to be around that. And
right.
Because people don't like to be around negative people, like, complaining. And I mean, we all do it, right? But it's what you do most often that sticks into people's minds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And your
own. Yeah. And there's this one thing, I don't know the actual quote, but the gist of it is this, and this would be my closing thought, is just simply, you can't control, what happens to you.
Yeah.
But you can control how you respond to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for communication and life at large, right? Because the way you respond really says a lot about which type of mindset you're adopting. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress for everyone.
Yes.
I don't think there's a single human being who has mastered all of these things.
They're not.
Maybe Mother Teresa.
If there is, I'd love to meet him or her.
Mother Teresa,
Maybe.
probably. Yeah.
I bet she's had some bad days too.
Yeah, but I just
But anyways, yeah. Well, I think that probably
that's
more or less encapsulates it. Yeah. So, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Don't forget to ask questions if you have any questions about this topic. I know we always love getting suggestions for future topics as well.
Definitely. And some of you have been sending those in, so thank you.
Yeah. And challenge us. We can sit down and talk about just about anything. So,
definitely
throw some stuff at us, and we'll see if we can do some reasonable discourse.
Right. Exactly. And stay tuned for the lesson coming out later this week. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to join our tribe. I have to say it. I just gotta
do it.
And sign up for our newsletter. It's on myexplearning.com. You can check it out.
It's a cool website.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys. Catch you in a little bit.
Happy explearning.